Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Left, Wrong, and Center. I am here with a very exciting guest. I'm sitting next to Christina Vogel, who is running for Erie County Executive. Christina Vogel is running as a Democrat for the Erie County Executive position. She is deeply committed to Erie County, where she lives with her husband and her 3 children, and she runs a successful business that has contributed over $4 million in wages to the local economy since 2016. As the first independent female franchisee of Donato's, Christina built 2 locations from the ground up, providing 30 residents with well-paying jobs and opportunities for home ownership and higher education. Christina is also an inaugural member of the Erie County Community College Board of Trustees, helping make college education more accessible and transformative for the local community. With a focus on meaningful progress and a community collaboration, Christina is dedicated to making Erie County stronger and building a brighter future for all. Welcome, Christina Vogel. I'm thrilled to have you.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. I would love to hear what you love about Erie and Erie County and what has motivated you to run for county executive.
So I would say more than anything else, it's the people. I mean,
Okay.
The people are very kind, very hardworking. We moved here 11 years ago. I didn't know anybody, not one single person. And I came with the intention of creating a home for my kids, for my family. And that's what I have tried to do. And every piece of my 11 years that I've done, that was my goal. I've done that with Donato's. That's the whole reason why I applied to be on the board of the community college. And that's really why I'm running for Erie County Executive. I've fallen in love with Erie and the people.
The people in Erie and making things better. Can you educate in your own words what the county executive position actually is and how it fits into our local form of government here?
Sure. I would say I'm probably more educated than most about county government, but that doesn't mean I'm an expert, and I've learned that most people aren't either, right? So the Erie County government is set up. It has a home rule charter, and it has a county executive, and then it has the county council. So each of the districts have their own county representative. It's really the county council that creates the rules, the vision, really, in some ways, and then it's the county executive's job to make sure that everything is being executed as intended, to create the budget. So the county executive says these are the things that we want to spend money on, and then the county executive goes back and says, here is the money that we have coming in. How do we make all of this work, right? And so it's really being a good steward of the money and of the tax dollars, and doing the less exciting work, I would say, of being accountable and making sure that the county runs for everybody that's here, because most of the budget is really, it's about the people that are there. It's not roads, it's not infrastructure in the way that we think of infrastructure. It's about people.
It's connecting your love of people with your expertise on financials and making it work for people, making government work for people.
That is my goal.
Yeah, absolutely. So we touched a little bit on your experience in the intro. It's an interesting time right now for Americans, for America, for elected officials. So I'm curious, why now for county executive? What about your experience qualifies you to run a county of 270,000 people? And then you'll be running in a purple county, and you'll have to appeal to voters of all different parties. But what is it in the primary that Democrats, why should Democrats trust you to be their standard bearer?
Okay, so let's go one at a time.
Yeah.
So why now? When I look at, I have a son that's a senior in high school, a daughter that's a junior, and a third one that's in 7th grade. So, for me, like I said, I left everything behind and came here, and I would like my kids to stay here if possible. And there's, in my opinion, and everything that I've seen and watched and been involved in, there's a genuine concern that that's not an opportunity for them. And so how do we make Erie County a place that our kids want to stay, want to thrive, want to grow, have the opportunities to do so? So that's why now, because I think that time is of the essence.
Absolutely.
So then why me as far as a Democratic candidate? I feel like everything that I have done in the time that I have, really my entire career, has kind of led to this point. So why should the Democrats in Erie County choose me? I think that it's because I have the experience, the temperament, and the credentials, really, honestly, to do that. And I think that I've proven that over everything that I've done.
I hear you talking about wanting to make this a great place for your kids to grow up. And what would your main priorities for the county be should you be elected?
So really, I have broken it down into 3 areas, which is fiscal responsibility, people, and partnerships. The first thing, though, is the budget. I mean, and I think that that's where I shine, really. When you're looking at a county budget that's almost $600 million, a lot of the money that comes in is from state and federal dollars. But we don't know what's going to happen, right? It's a hugely uncertain time. So being able to analyze what's going on and make sure that we are not increasing taxes, I think is I don't think that people can afford a tax increase.
Okay.
I mean, it is tough out there for people. Whatever, my main priority is to make this a county that is better for the people that work here. And I see it all the time and how people are strained, I'm someone that, has walked the walk, not just saying like we need to do these things. I mean, you had said in the beginning, I've paid out over $4 million, but I pay significantly higher than, probably most restaurants in the area. But I reimburse my managers 100% for their health insurance.
Okay.
I have a retirement plan with a company match. I have paid time off. I have delivery cars. I don't know if you've seen them driving around.
I have, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, but
I love Donato's.
I bought those cars because that way anybody can drive. They don't have to have a car. They don't have to have insurance. They just need a license.
Okay.
And so I pay the gas on that. I pay the maintenance on that.
Okay.
What I see all the time is that businesses say that workers are their greatest asset and they don't follow through.
Yes.
And so that's really what I'm trying to do is follow through.
Put fiscal responsibility first. And
then people and partnerships. So thank you for drawing me back into that, actually. So, and so that's the other 2 things. So people, the county executive position is really about people, and the areas that you're under that, you have the public library, the planning commission, the courts, but the courts are really their own entity. The county just makes sure that their money is there, right?
Yeah.
But then under health and human services, there's drug and alcohol abuse and mental health and childhood youth services, all these areas that are there to make the county better. And so how do we get people in the right roles to make a difference for the individual people that are living here every day? And we do that with partnerships.
Yes.
Boom. See, it's tied all together.
Maybe you can tie this into Donato's as well. Donato's pizza is amazing, everybody. If you have not had it, I've ordered from it many times. You guys are great.
Good.
But when it comes to people partnering with people, especially people you're working with, what about your experience do you believe will help you work with a county council that maybe won't always be lined up with you one for one 100%? And how do you ensure that you are partnering in good faith with this council that you need to work with to pass an agenda? Yeah,
that's a good question. So I would take it back actually to the community college. Okay. I didn't know a single one of the board members when I was put on the board.
Okay.
We all came with our own kind of ideas of what was happening and what we wanted to do. And it's a lot of work to stand up a community college. There was a point in time in January of 2021 where I thought there's no way we're going to have classes in August, but we did it. And so, but we were all very different. We were, came from very different backgrounds. And by the time, the second year rolled around, they asked me to be the secretary. And so I think then I was asked to be the vice chair. And so just to run, and then was, chosen, so I think that I have shown that over and over that is something that I am very good at, between just my work in the community and with the community college. Yes, there's a lot of personalities everywhere.
Absolutely.
And I think if you're focusing on the right things, I believe that everybody on county council is trying to make a difference. And so if we all have the same goal, then let's come together in a way. There's got to be a way to compromise and come together.
In your announcement email, and I'm going to read directly from the screen just so I don't mess this up. It says, I started Donato's in 2016, and I have always focused on doing what is right for my employees and our customers. I invested hundreds of thousands of dollars of my own money and now have 2 stores that employ over 30 people. I've paid out over $4 million in wages since 2016. With these wages, employees have bought houses and cars and attended all 4 of our local universities. I have donated over $96,000 from my businesses to travel basketball teams and church daycares and robotics clubs and dozens of others through my Pizza with a Purpose program. A, I would love to hear more about the Pizza with a Purpose program, but B, can you describe how running a business like this has connected you to the Erie community?
Yeah, actually, I mean, it's been wonderful. I mean, so now, I have great relationships with, just a tremendous number of organizations, small and large, throughout the county, between, everything that we know, the Children's Museum, the zoo, the Autism Society, a bunch of different organizations. So I've really gotten to know a diverse group of people throughout the county. So the Pizza with a Purpose program is a program that I started, and it actually gives 20% back for the entire day. So most programs are, I don't know if you've ever done a fundraising program with something, but it's 20% of the orders that you bring in. So you have to bring in a flyer typically, and then they will give you 20% of that order. But I was the treasurer of the Fairview PTO for 4 years, and here's what I can tell you. The same people volunteer every single time. Nobody wants more stuff in their house, right, that they have to buy. And they need something that is easy and actually gives them a return. We had some events that when I was treasurer that we didn't make anything, or we made very little, and it was a lot of work for nothing. So I created the program. It's mine. It's not a Donato's program, like corporate Donato's program. Specifically to address those things, because I watched it happen multiple times. And so what happens is someone just finds me, and they schedule a day where they come in, and they get 20% of the entire day. So a lot of the customers don't know that they are even contributing to an organization. And then we ask them to make a genuine effort to send everything out to promote it to their organization. And then they come, because the truth is everybody has to eat dinner, right? And so it's a really easy way to earn money for an organization. And it's a lot of these organizations are small organizations that $500 or $400 makes a difference, or it helps to get them to the next travel event. It helps them to buy supplies at the daycare. It's things that actually make a difference.
So it's a proactive way of you giving back to your community through your business, essentially.
Right. Yep, exactly.
That's awesome. I didn't know anything about that, so thank you for educating me.
I'm going to jump in. Yeah, one thing too that I've loved about this that has happened is that I have the same groups that do it year over year over year over year. So I have Cub Scouts troops, I have church groups, I have the daycare, I have travel basketball teams that have done it over and over and over and over. And I have watched, the Fairview girls basketball team, the seniors that are there now, we started doing stuff for them when they were in 6th grade, maybe 5th or 6th grade. So I've watched them, grow and do all the things that they've done and become the successful team that they are.
Relationship building.
Exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. I'm going to turn to a couple of issues just facing Erie County. We have a long history of manufacturing, making things, we build things here. And how do you, if elected county executive, ensure that young people are going into these skilled trades in order to keep manufacturing businesses here in Erie, and in the process break some of that generational poverty within the environment?
Yeah, I think one of the key ways that we can do that is with the community college. The community college was formed specifically to address the workforce issues. That was one of the main tenets of why it was created. And so our goal is to go out to manufacturers, and they are doing this now, and finding what do you need, right? What do you need, and how can we help support that? And one of the areas that I think is just doing a fantastic job at the community college is the welding program. And so actually one of my managers is in the program. And the guy that is the teacher for the, this is a plug for the community college. He's like this, he was the best welding teacher in the state of Pennsylvania last year. Yeah, he's phenomenal. And so, but they go to Lincoln Electric, and they go to all these places, and they get to see different things, and they learn an amazing amount of stuff. And then we've placed them at at all these different organizations within Erie. And so being able to take a program that's just in its infancy, but it's growing and growing and growing, that's applicable to a variety of advanced manufacturing programs if we can create the connections and the partnerships and get that to that place. And then the other thing I think we need to do is kind of destigmatize, and it is starting to happen, the idea that, the only way for someone to be successful is to go to a 4-year college.
Absolutely.
And there are other avenues for people to be able to be successful. And once that can shift too, then I think the whole, the notion of what work means will be better for everyone.
Absolutely. And you're talking about the community college and manufacturing, which in my brain and in the brains of a lot of people maybe don't think college manufacturing. Has that been I don't know if roadblock is the right word, but has that been a thing that has come up in your time on the board? Do people talk about how to connect something like a community college in people's minds to a trade like manufacturing?
I think that's something that we have talked about multiple times, that I don't think it for a community college. I think that's more applicable in like a 4-year university. Yeah. But a community college is really built to be flexible. And that's something that we have from the beginning wanted to help to facilitate. So yeah, I haven't seen that as a challenge. And what I will say about the community college, I don't know how much you know about it, but our enrollment is higher than we expected it to be. It has consistently been so. And I think that shows there was a real need for the community college. Yeah. And I think as it matures and it gets these additional programs and does different things, and I think that it will really be the transformational entity that our forefathers had been planning to make it be for decades. I mean, it took a long time to get it here, and a lot of people worked really hard to make that happen.
And it sounds like it's been successful. So it's great to hear. And I don't know that much about it, so I definitely want to look more into it. I've been asking this question a lot because it's a hot button issue right now. Erie County has a shrinking population just in general. We've remained somewhat steady in the last 5 years, but it's been declining. One of the most consistent groups of people coming here that are staffing our businesses and providing an essential chunk of our workforce have been refugees, obtaining legal status, but refugees. The current presidential administration has blocked refugee resettlement for 90 days. We're now sitting a little over a month in, and this is likely going to see an extension, as I'm sure we all know. And yesterday, Reuters broke the news that 240,000 legal Ukrainian refugees will lose their legal status. We have 500 Ukrainian families right here in Erie. As county executive, how would you see yourself advocating for these groups of people? Given that both the state and the county voted for the current president, and B, just the general politicized hot button nature of this issue?
A couple of things. I will say this. I've been here 11 years, and I would consider, one of the things that I will say is this. I've never lived anywhere where there's so many heritage festivals, right? Every summer there's the German festival, the Irish festival, the Italian festival, a whole bunch more. Yeah. So I don't think there's a better example of what a welcoming community can be, and having the refugees and their or new Americans, or however you want to call them, their cultures blend into that seems like a perfect fit to me. It always has. Yeah. So one, I think we are a great community to have them, and obviously, we need them, and they are providing jobs. They are creating businesses. They are doing those things, which is what we want, which is what America is built on, right? On the other side of that, I think for me, my concern is always, if you're going to have the threat of deportation be hanging over someone's head, all that does is set them up to exploit them, because then other people can take advantage of that. Right. And so then we all suffer, right? If you feel like you can't report a crime because you might be deported, then someone can exploit you and then nothing is safe, right? So it is an issue that more people should, I think, consider as an entire community issue instead of just one specific group. So I do think it's something that is broader than we usually talk about it as.
That's a great answer. I think a lot of people think of it as a cultural issue or a culture war, and it absolutely is. But we're talking, and even my question is about the economy, and you talk about the economy, but then you also talk about crime and safety and community involvement and business ethics and things like that. So that's something that I hadn't even included in here. So I think that's a great answer. Moving on to talking about business a little bit, what is the role of the county executive in attracting and retaining national and international business here in Erie County?
I think that's a fascinating issue because for as long as I've been here, there's been this kind of, like a hope maybe that we could attract some kind of huge business and all of a sudden that will change everything, that will change the trajectory. I mean, obviously if Apple wanted to come and put a plant here, we would consider that, right? And that would be amazing. But I don't think having that, tying our hope to that is a great. I don't think that tying that a fleeting hope like that is a good plan for a vision and for a strategy. Yeah, for how we move forward to tackle issues. Yeah. So, but on the other side of that, definitely the county executive has a role in partnering with organizations and trying to make sure that the businesses are strong, that they continue to grow, that they continue to create new jobs and new opportunities for the people that live here. And we have some organizations that do phenomenal things in our town. We know that. Erie Insurance does a lot of great things. They're a good partner to have. There's a lot of them though, and some of them are a lot smaller and some of them are bigger in size. So it's making sure that everybody gets a seat at the table, that we understand what the needs are, and then we can address what those needs are so they can continue to grow. We don't have roadblocks and red tape and bureaucracy that kind of stifles that.
And creating a business-friendly environment. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
And I like what you said about, if Apple wanted to come here, that's great, because it's like, aspiration is great, but we need to work within the lines of what we have now in order to make it as best as it can be, so that maybe one day something like that happens, but we can't be waiting for opportunity to strike. So
Exactly. Yeah.
So sort of connected to that last question about attracting businesses to the area, Erie is a neighbor to a few large metropolitan areas, Buffalo, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh. Up until 2024, when Breeze Airways was added as a flight offering out of Erie, we only really had 1 to 2 daily flights out of our airport. And I'm wondering if you see a role of the county executive in not only maintaining our airport, but attracting airlines that want to connect here and expanding our offerings that would connect us to the rest of the country and the world.
Yeah, definitely I think the county executive has a role in kind of partnering with that and kind of helping to champion those causes. One of the issues that are facing regional airports are a lack of pilots. And actually, at the University of Illinois and at Parkland, it started actually at Parkland Community College, they have a pilot training program. So they have a program to train pilots. So, perhaps there's a role for that in the community college. Again, if we could have the conversations and look at things differently, we can see what the opportunities could be. So maybe we could solve part of the problem and create opportunities here instead of just champion having other people come here and have this fun to do that. Another thing I want to say, because you brought up the regions, so you have the regions. All of the regions around us, all the states around us have a higher minimum wage than Pennsylvania. And so that is another thing that I think that the Erie County executive should be advocating for. I don't know why we talk about the fact that whether $7.25 is sustainable. It's not. That's just a fact. I don't know how anyone can talk about it. And
not at all sustainable.
So yeah, I think that working with our government delegations and working with the state to be able to help move that and change it finally since 2009, that is something also that the county executive should have a role in my opinion.
And how?
With working with the state delegations, with working with our local elected officials, and I think standing up and saying that. I'm a business owner.
Yeah.
It's too low.
Yeah.
And there's no one that will, that obviously that businesses will say that, it will hurt the bottom line. That's debatable in different ways, but the fact remains it is too low.
And attracting talent and people to actually staff your businesses and getting what you pay for essentially is another piece of that. So
exactly.
Yeah.
And I will transition to say that my average tenure for my employees is 40 months. Because they are treated differently. And the idea that, there's a reason why some places can't find workers. And so if they would solve some of the other problems, they probably, I do not like the mantra that no one wants to work.
Just going to say that, yeah.
Yeah, because I've never found that to be true.
I was just going to say, I'm guessing you didn't have the nobody wants to work anymore problem after
No.
the pandemic because, maybe it almost has something to do with the way that you treat people. I'm going to move on to Brenton Davis for a moment.
Okay.
A popular Republican talking point has repeatedly been that things are A, too expensive, and B, that people are paying too much in taxes, which is something that you said earlier. I think most people would agree with both of those statements on the nose. Brenton Davis ran his campaign last time on no new taxes or fees for the people of Erie County. And then in October of 2023, he proposed the largest property tax increase for his constituents in the history of the county. What do you view as the best way to increase county funding and revenue, and how would you see that through in this role?
That's a good question, especially given the climate that we're in. And I don't know that I have a great answer for how do we increase funding when there's a very real possibility that funding will be removed, either from the federal or state side, because the state will be losing money, But I definitely think that looking at the budget individually, one thing we need to get away from is the idea that we can spend everything that we get, right? And so I think that every single line item, there should be a measurable outcome of how we are using that. And is it doing what we expect it to do? Are we getting the return on the dollars that we're spending? The difference, I think, with me is because with my business, no one's handing me money, right? If I don't sell enough pizzas, then people aren't getting paid. So there has to be an understanding of there is a finite dollar amount, and we're taking this and we're extrapolating on that amount how we want our priorities to go, what we want to achieve, what the vision is. But there isn't an endless amount of money, and I think that is kind of, unfortunately, where kind of there's some issues sometimes.
Yeah. Should you be nominated, your general election opponent, to put it lightly, is a bit controversial. He's made many statements regarding successful women in politics. There are, serious allegations of physical abuse against him. And yet I'm sitting here with you talking about the economy, being business friendly, taxes, refugees, safety. How do you, especially as a female candidate, maybe draw attention to these issues without abandoning those core things that I just mentioned that you've been talking about, and keep focused in your campaign against him, and keep the needs of Erie voters at the forefront?
So I learned a long time ago that my focus for Donato's is on how we make the best pizza, take care of our employees, and focus on our customers. And what other people want to say about us, what other pizza places want to say about us, is only going to detract from the pursuit of doing what we want to do and doing it the right way. Yeah. So I am coming into this with a plan of no drama and no distraction and a relentless focus on doing what's right and making Erie County better. All of the theatrics, I don't know that I need to draw attention to any of it because I think it's already out there. Yep. And it doesn't interest me. Yeah. I mean, and I think that it shouldn't interest people because there's a lot to be done. And if we want to make Erie County better together, there's a lot that we can focus on to make that happen, and a lot of changes to make without getting drawn into, he said, she said fight, or he said, he said fight. Yeah.
No drama and a focus on the actual issues I think is important, especially in this day and age where that's all that we see coming from the other side. Critics say that Davis has played favorites with municipal funding. How would you avoid politicizing the day-to-day operations of the county and who gets funding when everybody needs it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that what you just said is key. Everybody needs it. Anybody in Harbor Creek or in West Springfield or in the city or in Waterford, And everywhere else, they're all individual county members. And so what we need to do, we're doing what is right for the everybody that's there. I mean, there shouldn't be favorites, obviously, but also we need to look at what we can do to make the county better for everybody that lives here.
Yeah, and keep in mind, for those listening, those are red areas, purple areas, blue areas, and there are people of all and none in all of those areas. So just going in with a mindset of fairness and equity.
What I see is, and what I have seen for a number of years now, probably since the pandemic, is that there is a powerlessness and a hopelessness in people, and that they feel that then turns into a corrosive resentment, and they don't know what to do to make their lives better in a lot of instances, and so they just are trying to escape it in a variety of ways. And I think we see that with drug and alcohol abuse. I think we see that with social media. And I think the fraying of the fabric that used to kind of keep America together is part of the problem. And it's really disheartening to see. But I don't, when I talk to people, or when I take deliveries, I mean, I can't tell you how many houses I go to, and I take the deliveries, and they're like, I have legitimately thought, I'm going to fall through this porch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know that they can't get it fixed, but I don't know. I mean, there's a lot that needs to be changed, and I don't know how. This is a huge tangent, but I don't know how in general we do that unless we all come together and make a choice to change it. So one of the things that I had done back when I was I have a master's degree in journalism. I have an MBA from the University of Illinois and a master's degree in journalism. And my master's thesis was, I looked at my hometown, which was dying. Manufacturing had gone, all the same things that you see across the Rust Belt.
Okay.
And then,
where are you originally from?
Hoopeston, Illinois.
Okay.
And then my comparison was to Arthur, Illinois, and the kind of the surrounding areas of both were about 5,000 people. And there was 2,000 people that commuted into Arthur every single day in 2003.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
A community of the size was 5,000. They had 2,000 people that commuted in.
Wow.
And when I looked at that, and I was trying to figure out why, one of the things that a lot of the naysayers in my hometown had said was, well, Hoopeston is dying because it's not on an interstate. Well, Arthur wasn't on an interstate. Okay. So what happened? And so what I really came down to from all of I did dozens of interviews in both places, was that there was a core group of people in Arthur who made the choice over and over to commit to doing all of these small things, to invest in businesses that would have the ability to make products, invest in the community, have these organizations for the kids that were there. Whereas in Hoopeston, it was very isolationist. And I had actually an ex-mayor tell me that a lot of people, he said, a lot of the people from here made a lot of money and took their money and left. And they, went to warmer climates or whatever. And so there wasn't a continuous kind of funneling back in.
Yeah.
And then to grow it and keep it sustainable and moving forward.
Yeah. And you're talking about people in communities doing a lot of small things to build it up versus isolationism and connecting. There's so many things you said in there that's it's like a gold mine of insight. But I think connecting it to politics, one, I think it's a case study for isolationism is not the answer, but also it's not necessarily top down. And you're talking about a community building itself up, and that just kind of beginning to attract business and beginning to attract opportunity. And I think a lot of people connecting the hopelessness thing that you were talking about at the beginning of what you just said, you have a lot of people looking at the federal government and the president and these big roles that are just low-hanging fruit and pinning all of the frustration on that person or that figure or that whatever it might be, when really, and we're sitting here talking about county executive, but it's and again, tying this back to politics, less about the human aspect of it, but it's those smaller offices, if you will, those make the difference on the ground, and those contribute to the larger cultural kind of revolution throughout the country. And I think people tune out for those. People don't know what they are. People aren't educated, which is why I'm so happy to have you on and have various people running in Erie, because you're on here talking about the differences that these offices make in everyday lives that people maybe just don't know.
Right. I'll tell you something else that if you look this up, and I may not get the numbers exactly correct, but in Dane County, Wisconsin, in 1960, the population was 220,000. And in Erie, in 1960, it was 250,000.
Okay.
And in Dane County, Wisconsin, in 2020, the population was over 575,000.
Yeah.
It's one of the fastest growing and has been.
Yes.
And ours in 2020 was 270,000.
Yeah.
So 60 years. Did I do that math right? 60 years, theirs more than doubled, and ours went up 20,000. And so, yeah, I mean, our fate doesn't have to be this, but then we actually need to choose to make it something else.
Yeah. And choose to not, is there a way to say this? Like, choose to stay engaged, choose to care rather than check out, and like you were talking about drugs and alcohol abuse and stuff like that. Choose to stay involved. I see a lot of despair right now where it's like people are just like, I have to tune out. I can't because my mental state can't take it. Mm-hmm. And while I understand that, I think everybody agreeing kind of a social contract to all stay involved and stay committed to making things better, that's how things get better.